In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the responsive design layouts in Dreamweaver. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure to have a folder, and I've called this responsive design part 1, and then launch Dreamweaver and immediately manage your site. And you only have to do this like one time because then you can just reference it. I'm going to say design part 1. I'm going to point to the folder that I've created, and I'm going to say save and done. So that is very important, otherwise your files are not going to go to the right place. The second thing I'm going to do, I'm going to say file new and new document HTML, and by default is set to none, and that's what we've been using in the beginning interactive design from last semester. So now you want to make sure you click bootstrap, click create new document, and make sure by default this preset is checked. Make sure to uncheck it. Go ahead and say create, and you'll see basically a bunch of codes here. I'm going to go ahead and save this document into my root folder. And as soon as I do that, if I come back here, you'll see that automatically the program has created a bootstrap CSS and a bootstrap jQuery and JavaScript documents for me. So it's very important that first to make sure you have a folder before you start your projects. Then when you launch Dreamweaver, the second part is to define your site and point to this folder, and then make your document, make sure it's bootstrap, unchecked include a pre-built layout, and basically just create new document and uncheck this one. So these are the basic steps. The next thing we're going to do, and if I come back here in the code, you'll see all the references already are in this document. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click inside my body tag. So I'll just go just right below the gray note area where it says the body code starts here, and I'm going to actually make this a little smaller so you guys can see better. I'm going to choose insert, and from here I'm going to change the HTML tag to bootstrap components, and from here I'm going to just add a couple of things. So while my cursor is inside the body tag, I'm going to click the container, and you'll see that automatically I'm getting a container class tag. And I'm going to move this down, and I'll just make sure to just leave a little note from this icon with the exclamation mark. I'll choose apply HTML comment, and I'm going to say click inside of it. I'm going to say closing container div tag. Basically what this means is that every single item that I'm going to have on my page needs to go within this area. Okay, I'm going to once again click inside the container, and again the container resides within the body tag. I'm going to go ahead and add I will add a nav bar. There's a couple of different ways you can have a nav bar. So you can have a basic nav bar, or you can have a nav bar fixed to the top. I'm going to go ahead and just do the nav bar fixed to the top. And automatically you see all the code here. And I'll come back to that later. And again, I'm going to copy this line of code. I'll just move before my nav, and I'll just change closing nav div. So this way, you know, as soon as you see this code, you know that that section is basically done, and you can kind of go ahead and insert your no items below that section. I'm gonna go move this down, and let's go ahead and add a couple of other things. So just gonna move this back out here. Okay, so we're gonna be adding a few more items here. Let me just make this window a little smaller so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Let's go ahead and again try to work in the code as much as possible. So I'm gonna go underneath my navigation right before my closing container div note, and now I'm gonna go right on the split. And let's just do the code, and I'm gonna go ahead and under insert. This time I'm going to add a carousel. So just click on carousel, and it'll just basically insert it here for you. Once again, try to just copy and paste these notes for yourself. So I'm going to say opening yeah, this will save you a lot of headache. So okay, and then I'll just copy this, and I'm gonna go ahead, go all the way to the bottom, and right before the closing div I'm gonna just say closing. So I'm gonna save, come back here and do a little preview, and you see that I have my navigation, which I can assign like whatever pages I want to these buttons. I have a drop down menu, I have a carousel, and I can change these the text on the slides, and this information basically this is supposed to be a photograph, and all you have to do is basically figure out where that the placeholder is. So if I come back here, you'll see that it's a class tag, basically it's carousel placeholder PNG. So I can just go back to my images and say I want to have a different picture in there. Let's see if I can find something that I can put in there. So let's say this picture, something a little smaller. Okay, let's say this white balance. I'll just put that in here, and then I simply copy the link, and if I come back to my carousel items, just gonna go all the way to the bottom, and I'll try to find the placeholders right here. So I'll just copy this link. Now, if I save and I come back to preview, you'll see that this picture basically just updated. Just have to make sure the height, figure out like the height of the picture is the same as the placeholder. So if I come back, I can just see Command I. So this is 600 by 400. This is 900, so that's a lot bigger, 600 by 400. So I'm going to just size it to that. I'm just going to so it just becomes a lot cleaner. So I'm gonna, because we're just using this as a test here. So if I come back here, now I'm gonna go ahead and preview this again. You see that the picture is right there, and I can just do the same for whatever other picture I have in here. So I have my nav, I have like a little slider, and all of these items are customizable. So I'm going to go ahead and move out of the carousel, and this time I'm going to add grid rule with column. So again, make sure your cursor is after the closing tag, and make sure you add these notes, which is basically the apply HTML comments. And once you have one set, then just copy and paste it based on each of these divisions. It just makes your life a lot easier if you did that. I'm going to go ahead and say grid row with column. I'm going to choose after, and for this one I'll just use like one. You could use one column or two column. I'll just do two. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to go find Lorem Ipsum. And basically just copy the text back here, and basically want to just paste it within the closing div and the div class. Just Command V, go back here, maybe I'll just do this other part, Command C, come back to the other div, which is right here, and paste it. Again, the white text is just static text, and the blue the green, basically these are the IDs and these are the class tags. So just get familiar with the coloring of the HTML tags. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go to split. You see I have my nav bar. So this one, again, I'll just make sure that so div class row. So I'm gonna just copy this. So we'll be open text, a row, text row, and the column. And this would be closing text row. Then I'll just move this down because everything needs to be above this div. Now I'm going to go ahead and customize the text. So one thing you want to do, just want to make sure you select your div, or basically the row, and click the plus sign. I'm going to say text path. I'm going to go ahead and say plus. And now you can just save it to the styles. And now once I have that there, I'm going to go ahead and add some margins like 25. And if you want to do like maybe 10 and 10. So this is how you actually customize the text. You can also assign headers to your site, to your text. So we're going to have, make sure there's a return so it doesn't do it to everything. And I can just go back here. Oops. Make sure we don't delete things. I'll come back here. Then now if I want to just customize one item, sometimes it's just a little tricky. can just add like some kind of a header to it. And of course you can change the width of your columns by simply just dragging the column handler. I would be careful though, because you just want to make sure you have enough, the column is big enough for both of the columns that you've inserted. And here's my row. And so if you need to customize anything, you actually would need to click on the actual class tag and then add the plus sign and then do whatever that you need to do. Okay, if I come back here to my class tag, and if you wanted to change the color, you can simply change the color. So you basically would click here on the tag and then you would make the modifications on the right hand side. And if I preview my text, I'm just going to move this back up. And by accident, I added a header here. You can kind of see like 3, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And I'm just going to close this. So if I preview, you see that I have my text, I have my padding, and this is all live text. I have my carousel, and of course I have my navigation. And if I resize this, you'll see that everything collapses to be formatted for the responsive design layout. So this is a very basic introduction to how to use Dreamweaver to create a template for your responsive design websites.